Welcome to Independent Living Bullion's weekly market wrap podcast, helping precious metals investors during these treacherous times. And now, here's this week's market wrap with commentary and analysis from the fastest growing precious metals dealer in America, Independent Living Bullion.
Welcome to this week's Market Wrap podcast. I'm Mike Gleason. I'm happy to welcome back our friend David Morgan of the Morgan Report and silver-investor.com. How are you, David?
Doing well. Thank you, Michael.
Well, this consolidation period keeps grinding along here in the precious metals markets. Now, we have seen silver hold the $19 support level multiple times, which is certainly a good sign. But we've also seen gold and the platinum group metals perform a little better. So is that concerning to you at all? Basically, what do you make of silver's underperformance here of late?
Not much, really. Was early on the other white metals, the platinum palladium story, and we're very bullish on palladium. Pretty much called that move up that's been taking place. It's moving off now, but it is in a new high territory, and it's the leader, and very few people are paying attention to it. They take leadership roles at different times. I mean, gold leads for a while, the platinum group could lead for a while, and silver could lead for a while. Silver seems to be as volatile as any of the metals, probably more than any of them. So to be a lackluster situation relative to the other metals is not really concerning to me, and I can say that with some authority from the aspect that I've been in this market for like 4 decades. So to see it, underperform or not do what people want it to do or expect it to do doesn't make me really that concerned. I think the more important point is what you stated. It's maintained its ability to hold its support for a very long time. I do think that the bottom is in, but, could be proven wrong. Regardless, if a new low is going to happen, meaning a new low in this intermediate time frame, and the low was the 28th of June, 2013, over a year ago, at 1817 intraday. I think that's it. But if it were to go lower, it's more of a buying opportunity than it is now. And most people that deal with your company know that they should be buying over time, and that to try to pick the exact day. In fact, what's interesting is let's say, for a thought experiment, you pick the exact date or the exact time. Let's say you even know ahead of time. You're not able to really execute that point in time and space for the most part, unless you are on the inside track and you have a preset order for the right amount, because you might be able to trade 2 contracts at that 1817 price, but the next bid is higher. So the idea is an amateur's idea that you can pick an exact bottom or actually get filled. In other words, make the total transaction, especially in the physical realm. You know that because the spreads widen and narrow depending on how much ebb and flow there is in the business. And, I know that you're, straight up coin dealer and explain that to people. But a lot of people just are, let's just call them amateurs or unexperienced or undereducated or whatever you want to say. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they really don't understand how markets work.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of value to be had here. We both agree on that for sure. So we have had this 3-year slump in metals now. So what type of catalysts are you looking for in order to get a true and sustainable rally going in the metals, and one that doesn't, fizzle out like the rallies we've seen over this consolidation period? What is it going to take, and what do you see as some of the events and drivers that will cause it to finally shoot up?
Well, not to sound cute, but really I'm almost at a loss to say what the drivers are. I mean, I know what will do it, and that's higher prices. Higher prices are going to drive it, but, how do you get there? And with all the geopolitical tensions that are going on now in the Ukraine with Putin and Russia and what's going on with Israel and Hamas and everything that's going on, I mean, those are catalysts that should be taking gold, specifically gold and silver along with it, higher, and it's not. And so the catalysts are in place, but yet you aren't seeing higher prices. So something is going to move the prices higher. It could be a debt default. It could be more economic unrest. I don't know what it is, because the catalysts definitely are there. But what's going to sustain the rally is higher prices. So once you get silver, let's say above 26 and gold above 1550, then you're going to see a lot more people come into the market, not because of some geopolitical event, although it's possible, but primarily because prices are moving. I mean, it's really an absurd situation when you think about it, but that's the reality of it. So higher prices are what are going to sustain the rally. It's not, and it's are the catalysts. What are they? I don't know, because there's enough in place to take these prices higher.
We've been hearing more and more noise about potential lawsuits and the whole gold and silver price manipulation scandals. I want to get your comments on that, as well as what you made of the end of the London silver fix.
On the manipulation, I'm in the camp that it is manipulated. I'm also in the camp that it's extremely difficult to prove it. Although we're writing a new book on silver, and we have a whole chapter on manipulation, and in my view, or in my opinion, it's definitely proves beyond a reasonable doubt. It's very difficult to prove something absolutely 100% completely true. But that's not how the law is set up. The law is to set it up so it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think our book chapter on manipulation proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the markets are manipulated. But, what I think of it, I wish them all the best. I hope they've got the best lawyers, sharpest guys on the planet that are able to bring the case before a jury and are able to get a fair settlement and a non-biased judge, and they're able to prove it. But I think that's very idealistic. I think that it's good that it's come up again, but I don't hold high hopes that it's going to go all the way through, but maybe it will. So on the London silver fix, I've addressed this before. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have. There's already been some debate between some of the commentators in the silver and gold space between each other, and I've just kind of sat back and watched it. I don't think it's going to have that huge an effect. It could. I'm just not sure. So I'm going to basically keep my mouth closed on that one until I'm able to formulate an opinion. And we're only, a week away. I think a week from today we're going to see the silver fix that had been held for well over 100 years come to an end, and it'll be a group collection of input from Thomson Reuters and I think the CME. It'll combine, come up with some kind of a price that will then become the new quote-unquote silver fix.
Switching gears here a little bit, you're always looking at where the demand is coming from for silver there at the Morgan Report, and I read in your most recent issue that solar demand is up 10%, for instance. What are some of the bright spots in terms of industrial demand for silver these days?
Well, there's so many, and I'll get a little bit specific, but what I want to do is put it in the context of where we are with the explosion of electronic handheld devices. If you think back to a whopping 14 years ago, and there's probably some 14-year-olds listening to the show, so they can't put it in the proper context. But the point is that really you haven't seen this electronics explosion until the last decade or so. And the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, or the Android equivalent, I don't want to leave out Samsung and all these other ones. I'm not paid by any of these people. But that is brought into a massive demand on silver in a very small manner, meaning that the amount of silver per unit is extremely small, but the amount of units are running in the billions, combining, all the Apple products with the Android products. So there's been this huge surge, and that continues unabated. You're going to continue to see, even with as saturated as the cellular phone market is in the United States, it's not nearly saturated in China, for example. So there's that market. There's the silver market, which was on track to get to the projection that Jessica Cross made from VM Metals many years ago, that would be about 130 million ounces a year annually for silver. And it's not true. It's up about 80 million, but it's probably going to go higher. That's one that's still going to grow. The other one is this LED lighting, and this is just coming to the fore. They're superior lights, they use less energy, and they're brighter. They last longer. Everything about an electric light bulb has been superseded by these LED lights, and these use silver. So you're going to see this starting to come into the mainstream without people knowing about it. People will buy them, and most people buy silver-containing products without ever really, thinking about what's in them. And quite honestly, I don't think about all the rare earths in my cell phone or anything like that all the time. But the point is, it's needed. It's used as critical. It's absolutely indispensable. And because of those facts, silver is going to be used more and more and more in all of these electronic goodies that we see. And the big areas will probably be batteries, This is something that we're writing in the book, and we'll explore in the Morgan Report and future issues. Everyone's all really hipped up on the lithium-ion batteries. Tesla's building this big factory to produce lithium-ion. The deal is silver is the most superior of any element for conducting electricity. It also does a good job of storing, and it's much more simple to recycle than the lithium. So there could be somebody with some vision out there that's working on a silver-based battery system that may be superior in many ways. In fact, there's a silver battery available in some laptop applications that are far superior. The thing about a laptop is, you only have power for a couple hours. The thing you got power for a couple of days. So there's a lot in the silver realm that hasn't come to the fore. And sometimes it's a higher end product, meaning that because there is a fair amount of silver used in these batteries that I'm speaking about, some of them, it's going to cost. It's going to cost more, but then that's what the market's all about. Are you willing, Mike, to spend 4 times as much for a battery that allows you to run your laptop for 2 days, especially if you're out in the field, than 2 hours? I know I would be, but there are people that wouldn't be able to afford it, but the people that could afford it might be willing to spend that kind of money for that ability. So I don't want to drone on too much, but there's a lot out there in the silver world that hasn't been expressed in a product today that's kind of lurking just behind the scenes, so to speak, that will be available in the not too distant future that could have an impact on the demand side.
Yeah, that I think is definitely what makes silver such a fascinating and exciting metal, and really an investment potential too for someone looking to invest in it. It's just the industrial demand is really amazing and very vast, and it's they're finding new uses for silver all the time just because of its incredible properties. The mining shares have actually done quite well this year. I wanted to get your comments on that. They've definitely outperformed the broader stock market and the bullion itself. So what does that tell you? Is it a function of how the miners just got beaten up so badly the last couple of years that they were due for rebound, or is this a leading indicator for the bullion? Talk about what you're seeing there with the mining shares.
Well, it's both. It's primarily a leading indicator. Again, I've been working at this market and continue to learn, but the overall experience/data shows that when the mining shares are performing better than the bullion, it's a leading indicator. So going back to the first or second question you asked about, what catalyst, I don't know, higher prices. And you could say that because the shares are doing well, especially some of the higher quality shares, that we are going to experience higher prices in the gold and silver market for whatever reason in the not-too-distant future. So I look at it, they're certainly oversold, do like what's called a dead cat bounce. They just do go bounce because they're just so oversold. That's true. But because they have sustained it, and even with this, flat metals prices, so to speak, or this, wiggly metals prices, we haven't got any real sustained rally in either gold or silver. Yet the shares seem to be resistant to follow along. And that's a clear indicator that they're leading, and that, again, we're not too far away from seeing a move in the metals. I've been advocating, my own book. I'll be honest. We write money, metals, and mining, and we focus a lot of our energy on the mining sector. And I've been saying for a while that I thought that the mining sector is really the place to put your money, but I also want to be consistent. And I've always taught, and will continue to, that you really don't have a precious metals portfolio. You must start with the physical metal first, even though, what's the best value? And in a lot of cases, the shares were better value, because in some cases you could buy a share of stock for less than the cash value. In other words, you could buy $1 for 90 cents in some cases. And that wasn't just in a single case. There were a few out there, like maybe 5 or 6, that had that kind of situation where they'd been beaten up so badly that they were selling for less. So you're getting, the mining project, the management team, the copy machines, the computers, everything else for free, because the cash in the bank was greater than what the share value was. But those are rare situations, but those are definitely oversold situations.
Well, great stuff, David. And before we let you go, tell people how they can get involved with your great service there at the Morgan Report, and also talk about the upcoming Silver Summit this fall.
Okay. The best way to get involved is just go to themorganreport.com, get on the website, get on our free email list. It's absolutely free. You can, if you're inclined to get really involved and you're serious about this aspect of money, metals, and mining, you can get a basic service. Basic service is like $10 a month. I mean, it's less than going to the Starbucks twice a month. It's really pretty reasonable. And then there's services that are beyond the basic service that are for more advanced investors. Silver Summit will be in October this year. I think it's the 22nd, 23rd. It'll be at the Davenport Hotel in Spokane. We'll try to get some new people in there as far as, somebody that hasn't spoken before. Of course, I'll be there. But we're trying to cover all aspects of the market. We also try to cover both sides of the market. In other words, get a lot of establishment types that look at silver as just purely an industrial commodity. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with financial problems and all that stuff. They have that perspective. I don't hold to that one, but they do. So you can hear both sides of the argument. And then we have, a lot of mining companies, a lot of bullion dealers. It's probably, in my view, probably one of the best, if not the best, places to go for a silver-oriented presentation seminar.
Well, it was great talking to you again, David, and looking forward to catching up with you soon. Hope you enjoy the rest of your summer.
My pleasure. Thank you.
For those of you who haven't yet signed up for the Morgan Report, we have a special offer for ILB Market Wrap podcast listeners, the ability to get a no-risk trial of the Morgan Report plus free silver. For any listener who signs up for one of these refundable subscriptions today, ILB will ship you a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle. To take advantage of this special deal, please look directly below today's podcast. Well, that will do it for this week. Thanks again to David Morgan. Check back next Friday for our next weekly Market Wrap podcast. Until then, this has been Mike Gleason with ILB. Thanks for listening, and have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Independent Living Bullion Weekly Market Wrap. Be sure to come back next week. And don't forget to subscribe to our weekly podcast through iTunes for answers to all of your questions, or to discreetly and securely buy or sell gold or silver coins, bars, and rounds. Call 1-800-800-1865. Our knowledgeable and no-pressure specialists are standing by between 7 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday. Visit us at www.independentlivingBullion.com or call 1-800-800-1865.